So, okay, hey everybody, the stream should be online now. So I hope you're all doing well tonight. Today's topic is going to be a little bit different. So if you've been paying attention to the news, Hong Kong has been quite, let's say, chaotic. So an idea came about, hello, miss you. An idea came about how to give insults, how to attack people with insults in English. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. So probably not super useful if you're friendly with others, but definitely can be fun to use. Yes. Okay, so let's start off. So there are lots of ways to insult people. First, we're going to start off with some ways where maybe it's not really an insult, half insult, where you want to let people know maybe that they can correct their behavior so they can do something differently. So one of the most common words in English we use to describe people that act poorly would be rude. Okay, very common word. Now, instead, you can also use these words. Not just rude, you can also say they're impolite. You can say they are insolent, churlish, impudent, ill-mannered. I'm sorry. Ill-mannered. So, if you're talking to somebody, maybe it's your coworker. Maybe you don't want to just say that you're a bad guy, you're stupid. You don't want to say that. Instead, you just want to let them know maybe they're not acting the best way. Maybe they don't have very good manners. They have poor manners. So maybe you can say that, well, the way you're saying things is a little bit rude or impolite, insolent, churlish, impudent, and possibly even ill-mannered. So lots of words are rude. They all mean the same thing. They just mean acting in a rude way. So definitely you can use this language. Now, if you have a question, a topic in the exam, where they want you to describe somebody, then definitely you could also use these words. So it does come up quite often, as rude people are very common. You may notice that. So definitely you can call them these sorts of words. Okay, we're going to move on from people that are rude. Another negative quality that generally people use to describe people they don't like would be is that they're quite, they have a poor temperament. So I want to temperament. So this word looks like temperature. So it's very similar, because I don't know if you noticed, but in English, probably also in other languages, we use temperature as a way to describe how people are. So for example, we may say that people are cold. When we say they're cold, we mean that they lack emotion, or they're not sympathetic, that they are robotic. If we say that they're hot, it can mean that they're very attractive. But it can also mean that they're angry or passionate. So it's no wonder that the word temperament was very close to temperature. And temperament just means their characteristics and how they act. So that's their temperament. Okay, so if people have a poor temperament, generally meaning angry, we don't want to use that word all the time. We can use other words like moody. So only temperament is a noun, everything else is going to be an adjective here. So we have moody. So moody, I don't know if you know the word mood. So if you have a good mood or a bad mood, then it will affect the way you act in the world. So if you have a good mood, you're smiling, maybe you're dancing around, you smile a lot. If you have a bad mood, then maybe you're frowning a lot, you don't like to talk to people, no eye contact. So if you're moody, it means that your mood is quite negative. So it's very strange. You just mood as a noun is neutral. You can have a good mood or a bad mood, but moody is always negative. So moody means the person has a bad attitude. Always bad. You can also call them touchy. So touchy just means sensitive. Sensitive has many meanings, but touchy means like if you touch that person, well, you don't really touch them, but just they're so sensitive that you might say or do something that is very minor and then they get angry. Very angry, so they're quite touchy, same as moody. You might say that they're short-tempered. Hot-tempered. Bad-tempered. So, if you know people who have a poor temperament, you can definitely say that they're short, hot, or bad-tempered. It means that they get angry very quickly and easily. And I'm sure you may know these people from work or from school, or sometimes you meet random people. I remember a few months ago, I went to a restaurant, and the guy sitting next to me was really angry all of a sudden. Just within half a second, he started yelling. And so people started looking at him. So these words are excellent, as it does come up from time to time. In your life, you're going to meet a lot of these people that have poor temperaments, bad temperaments. And you can call them moody, touchy. Oh, one last one. You can also call them grumpy. Grumpy. I don't know if you've watched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Disney movie from like the 1930s, but one of the dwarves, his name is Grumpy, so he's always in a bad mood. So these all mean the same thing. So definitely you can use these words if you're going to describe people that have poor attitudes. Okay, any questions, please let me know. Haven't seen any yet, but if there are any, then yeah, definitely say something. I'm going to erase this side of the board. I'll leave this side up. Now another negative attribute or characteristic of people is that they do things without thinking. So if you know people and they do things without thinking, this happens all the time. So you're going to have, you will need ways to be able to describe these people. So the best word is impulsive. So impulsive means you do things without thinking. There are a lot of individuals like this. They'll go out and buy something, and then immediately they don't need it or they regret it. Generally, these people are impulsive. People who overeat, who smoke a lot, usually these people are impulsive. You might call them abrupt, hasty, impetuous. So all these four words are used to describe people that don't plan things. Now, obviously, it's something. This is a characteristic, so it would be for someone who's usually like that. So there is a phrase, if you do something on impulse, this is a phrase, so you do something, you watch a movie on impulse. So it just means that you do something without planning. So as an example, you may see an ice cream store, and all of a sudden you really want to eat it. You buy it without thinking. You just see it, it attracts you. So you bought ice cream on impulse. So you can also use this language to describe doing things when you're not really thinking. But if you want to describe people who are like this usually, then you can call them impulsive, abrupt, hasty, and impetuous. Got a question here. Are there any words describing people changing their emotion rapidly? Are there any words describing people changing their emotion rapidly? I can't think of any right now. The ones that I can think of are medical words. So I will give you an example, Blackmail. If, I'm just going to erase this side of the board. If people change their attitudes and their moods quite quickly, usually if you want to be very insulting, we would call them bipolar. But bipolar is actually a medical condition. If someone is bipolar, then one of the common attributes or characteristics of that person is that they'll be really happy 1 second, and then literally the next moment they're throwing things at you. So we do call those people bipolar. Usually we just call them crazy. Yeah, if you meet people like that, usually we call them crazy. So I'll give you some words for crazy because you brought it up. So obviously you have crazy, but we have other words. We have mental. So mental is usually an adjective to describe something else, right? Like it is a mental problem. It is a mental concern. Right? It's a mental hospital. However, we can also use mental as an adjective to describe crazy people. We can call them unhinged. Unhinged. Now, the reason why we call people unhinged is a hinge is actually that part of the door that connects it, so it allows it to fold. So the thing holding the door to the wall is called a hinge. So when you're unhinged, it means you're not connected to anything. You're not connected to reality. Flip out. Flip out is a phrasal verb that we talked about before. Flip out just means you get angry all of a sudden. So it's a phrasal verb. It is not an adjective. So those adjectives describing people that are angry, they're adjectives. It's a characteristic. Flipping out is what they do. So a moody person can flip out. A bad-tempered person flips out. Unhinged is emotional, suitable. That's a good question. Let me finish the synonyms for crazy, then we'll get to your question, Blackmail, about emotional. That's a very good question. So unhinged also means crazy. What other words are there for crazy? Crazy, mental, unhinged. There are many others. None come to mind right now. Let me answer the question. Wow. Emotional can mean it's very difficult to say. Usually we use emotional when either people are very sensitive or when something traumatic or serious has happened, and so they have become emotional. So for example, if your friend goes through a divorce, at that moment in time, and probably for a few months or whatever, they might be quite emotional. And so maybe their mood does change, but it might not change at all. Emotional could mean that they stay one way, like they stay depressed for a long time. So emotional can have many meanings. So it can mean that it's usually negative, but it can also mean that they have extreme emotions. So it has two different meanings usually. So it doesn't always mean that they're bipolar or they're switching all the time. I hope that answers your question, Blackmail. So there are a few other words that are crazy. I'm just thinking what they could be. Give me a second here. Other words for crazy. Okay. I used to be able to use these like all the time, and now all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank. Probably happens for you when you're doing the IELTS exam too. You know the vocabulary, you knew about it right before the exam, and then once you want to use the language, you cannot recall it. Here we go. So insane, mad, can say that they are psychotic. So lots of words are crazy, so you can definitely use these words if you want to. So usually, I want to make this clear, usually if you have people that are, have wild emotions and they go from extremes, they change all of a sudden, then usually we call them crazy or bipolar. You might be able to say that they're emotional, like what Black Mao asked. However, emotional usually means that they're very sensitive or that they're on the extremes. It doesn't necessarily mean that they change a lot. Okay, good questions so far. Let's go on to the next part. Let's talk about people that are violent. Something just dropped. I don't know what that was. Anyways, let's talk about people that are violent. So, I'm living in Hong Kong right now. Generally, people are pretty civil. Pretty civil. Civil's a good word. So this is a good word. However, there are lots of people that aren't that civilized. They are something else. So if you want to call people that resort to physical measures, you definitely call them violent, savage, brutal, vicious, ferocious. So, lots of words you can use if you want to describe people that are violent. Now, hopefully there aren't that many around you, but it does happen. And the reality is this: if you've been paying attention to the news about the Hong Kong protest, one of the things that you really have to think about is a lot of people don't have a very good physical health. Their condition, their physical health is not robust at all. It's quite poor. People, especially in this day and age, they don't exercise very much. They don't go to the gym. They don't lift weights. They don't run. And one of the things in life is you need to condition yourself. You need to train yourself to be physically well. And it's not so you can attack people. It's so that you are prepared if something bad happens. It's sort of like, it's sort of like having a gun. You don't want to use a gun, but if you have it, if something bad should happen, at least you'll be prepared. So that's one of the lessons that I hope a lot of people are taking right now, especially with the protests in Hong Kong. But anyways, violent, savage, brutal, vicious, and ferocious. Okay. All right. Okay, let me erase all this stuff about crazy people. Now, if you get to a point where you actually need to just talk about people that are just plain old evil, so I hope you don't ever have to use this language. If you have to describe people as evil, then you've got a huge problem. Some people are evil. They like to see suffering. They like to cause suffering. They like to cause problems. We have a few words. You can definitely call them wicked. You can call them vile. Wicked is a very strange word, as wicked can also be positive. So in the last 20 or 30 years, there is a meaning for wicked where it's positive. So something is very powerful or very good, like in quality, not talking about morals, then you can also call it wicked. So if you watch a movie and you want to recommend it to your friend, you can say, yeah, you should watch ABC movie, it was wicked. So it also means that it was high in quality. Usually we talk about books or movies in this way, but usually it just means something bad, but it can mean something good. Malicious is a really good word. We got malevolent, That's a great word. Amoral, immoral. So we have a few words for evil. These all basically mean evil. Now, amoral and immoral are a little bit different. I will describe to you it. However, you don't really need to know the difference. This is just for, some people, they want to know the difference. Immoral means that you do things even when you know they're wrong. So if you know killing somebody for fun is wrong and you still do it, it's immoral. Amoral means that you don't care about morals and you don't even take the time to think about it. So amoral, if you're amoral as a person, it is bad because you should spend the time to think about it. The thing is that amoral can also be a neutral word when you want to describe a machine as an example. Like if a machine kills a person, we don't say the machine is evil because the machine does not think about morals. So in that context, it's neutral. The machine is amoral. But as a person, you should be thinking about morals. So immoral and amoral would still be both adjectives to say bad things about people. So you have to be careful there. Okay. Okay, let's get to the last part, probably the best part. Save the best for last. So I need to erase the whole board because there are so many words here. It's going to blow your mind. And there's even more, and there's just not enough space to put everything up on the board. It's just not going to happen. So one of the best words, if you want to call people an insult, is always loser. What a loser. Well, guess what? There are a million words that mean the same thing, so you can call them a dud. Failure. This word is a very good one. Has been. So a has been specifically means that someone who used to matter, someone who used to be important or who used to be successful but is no longer. So as an example, if you have a movie star from 20 years ago, maybe they were really popular back then, but now maybe they work at a grocery store, maybe they do drugs, they're homeless, then those are has-beens. Wash out, very much the same meaning. An underachiever. So an underachiever, I think you can find out what it means. It means they have achieved less than they should have. You can call people a bust. A bust means something that's broken. You can call people a nobody. A nobody. A deadbeat. You can call people a write-off. So write-off, if you work in accounting, if you work in finances, or you work in a company of some kind, you may know that sometimes things get damaged, or something gets shipped to you and the quality is too poor to sell. Maybe there's something wrong with it, it's the wrong size, the wrong color, maybe it's broken. Then you need to write it off. So you just lose that money. So it's the same thing here. If we call someone a write-off, it means that they have no more value. They're valueless. They're worthless. How do you describe something that used to be important but not anymore? I don't know if I answered this question already. If you're talking about a person, it would be a has-been. Miss you. You can call people a flunky. When you flunk something, it means you fail. You can call someone a bum. I like to call my students bums. So, what are bums? Actually, this part, you can't really see it. The thing you sit on is your bum. So, homeless people, as an example, especially if you go to a lot of countries, they just sit on the street on their bum. So, we call those people bums. So if you're providing little or no value, then you might be called a bum. If you make lots of mistakes, you're a screw-up. When you screw up something, you make it a mistake, So you might be a screw up. If you're dumb, we call you an idiot or a moron. We can call you a nincompoop. N-I-N. We can call you a maroon. Lots of different words. Another question. But has-been can be used on people only. What about for an object? I can't think of a word to describe that. There might be one. So right now, the best way I can think of it is to describe it as the way you said it. So, as an example, maybe your cell phone was good before, but now it's bad. It's no longer useful. Yeah, it used to be important. That would be the way I would describe it. I can't think of another way right now. There might be another way, but I can't. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Sucker. Dumbass. There's so many words. Douchebag. Dolt. Dipshit. Let's do one more. Putz. Okay, so I will read all these insults to you just for fun, I guess, so you can hear the pronunciation. Yeah, quite unbelievably amazing. But yes, so let's start from the beginning again. So definitely you can call people losers. You can call them duds, failures, has-beens. Remember, this specifically means somebody who used to be successful, maybe, but no longer successful. So has-beens, washouts, underachievers, busts, nobodies, deadbeats, write-offs, flunkies, bums, screw-ups, idiots, morons, nincompoops, maroons, suckers, dumbasses, douchebags, dolts, dipshits, and putzes. And actually there are so many more, probably hundreds more, but I think this is a pretty good list if you want to start insulting people. If you don't want to talk about their characteristics, you don't want to say that they're evil or that they're ill-mannered or that they're moody and bad-tempered, and you just want to go for a general insult, then definitely this list is a very good place to start. Oh my gosh. English is absolutely fascinating, amazing, incredible, marvelous, stupendous, and spectacular all at the same time because it gives you so much variety and so many options. So definitely learn a few. Insult your friends, insult your coworkers, see if they can understand, and go from there. Alright, that's going to be it for tonight. If there are any other questions, then please let me know now. So I'm going to wait a few more moments. But if there are no more concerns, give you a bit of time, then we're going to log off for tonight. I do want to let you all know that, especially if you're on call, you got to stay safe out there. Send in police officers everywhere. It is quite dicey out there. Dicey means unpredictable, chaotic, something like this. So it's quite dicey out there, so you got to be very, very aware of that. Okay, well, sounds like we don't have any other questions. So I hope this list was useful for you. If you want to submit a topic for next week, please do let me know. And stay safe out there. I hope you learned a lot. I'll see you next time.